Commanderin.
I'm Shivam Putt.
I'm Olivia Guest Host.
And this is Commanderin. Normally, this is where the theme song would go. But because we're live streaming, you're just going to have to pretend and work with me. So, thanks for listening, everybody. We put a spotlight on community issues, but never, ever talk about three banned topics: politics, religion, and Hearthstone. Now, you know, it's old, but it still works. We try not to talk about Hearthstone. We have yet to do so. But now that Phil's not here, maybe I can finally talk about that priest deck that I've been
talk about
working
religion.
But as our astute listeners might notice, I'm here flying the ship solo today. So Phil couldn't make it because his laptop decided to communicate with the great vacuum tube in the sky, find its way back home, phone ET, and just turn into the biggest simulation of a paperweight as you've ever seen. And so, in lieu of that, I figured I should grab an all-star panel of guests to come and, just shoot the breeze with me and talk about some piles of cards. Obviously, I've got my dear friend and perennial guest host, Olivia Gobert-Hicks. But we have a super special, I'm really excited about guest today that I'm super stoked about. Loading Ready Run's own Ben Ulmer, a.k.a. Bengineering TV on the Twitches and the Twitters. He's a streamer that I love to watch basically every day. And he also makes a lot of the decks that they play on like Friday nights, right?
Yeah. Hi, I'm really excited to be here. This is really cool. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of all the work and whatnot that happens here. So, but I do a lot of the deck building and whatnot, specifically for like Commander, for Friday Night Paper Fight, which is our Commander show we do usually once a month on the Loading Ready Run channel. Yeah,
I can't imagine why I would want to talk to anybody known for making Commander decks.
Yeah, who would have thought, right?
No sense.
We're just 40 card scrubs here. We don't deal with them hundreds.
That limited magic. Yeah.
Limited? No, I'm talking about the starter freebie decks that they give.
Oh, yeah. The Jace deck that's solely like illusions and whatnot, right, and divinations.
And like Phantom Monster.
I'm paying attention. I'm just tweeting.
If you get your one rare, though, it's super awesome.
Yeah.
So today, though, I wanted to bring up a topic that Ben brought up that I have also been meaning to talk about for a long time. The idea of form versus function when you're building your deck. Specifically, when do you go for things like the flavor card versus things like the actual card that's going to win you the game? Because a lot of us who are Commander deck builders will do things like, pick your pet card or your favorite card from history that you want to build with. But we'll also do things like, okay, well, yeah, I know that I love Serendipity, but there's so many better 3-drop flyers that I could be playing than the one that does 1 damage to me every turn. But we're also a bunch of nostalgic fools in Commander, so we're going to play that janky vanilla 5/6 because it's my janky vanilla 5/6.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, and I figured we could kind of bounce around and talk about Core 20 and maybe some of the other things just going on. But before we do, we've got a couple of show notes to take care of. First off, I know a lot of you have been asking desperately, how can I support Shivam in all of his endeavors?
I know I do.
I certainly don't.
Well, friend, we do have a couple of ways to do that, and they're all collected at commanderinmtg.com/donate. There you can go to our Patreon page, you can go to our GoFundMe, you can even donate directly to us if you don't support, and if you're not a big fan of Patreon or the other big sites. And every dollar you guys help and give us helps us stay on the air and helps us bring new Commander content to you every single month, every single week, really, even. And we're super grateful to each and every one of you who does so. And we have a big, thriving Discord community that you can join in too. And it's great. We love it. We love being on Discord now that everybody's kind of moved off of Facebook chat. And it's a great place to just sit and talk with casual Commander players and have yourself a grand old time. And while you're there, you can also start picking up our t-shirts and playmats that we've now finally started selling. It's really cool, and please help dig Phil out of his house because we are going to be buried in these beautiful t-shirts. But they're really cool, and I think you guys will like them. However, you are not the only sponsor we have. We're also very, very lucky to be sponsored by Quiver Time, the makers of the great deck box quivers, the long, foot-long kind of giant cases that you can put 5 or 6 EDH decks in. But they've also been making their own sleeves, and actually this week they sent me these brand new deck boxes that you can fit 6 of them into your quivers, and that are made by Quiver specifically to fit in quivers. I think it's kind of like a well thought out plan on their part. These things are really, and I was impressed because they look like the Ultra Pro ones that you would see, but these are actually thicker and sturdier than the standard Ultra Pros. And they come in the 5 colors of Wooburg because, of course, every Magic thing has to come in Wooburg. And I believe you'll be able to start picking these up soon in your stores for $20 for a set of 5 or $4 or $5 each. Totally worth it if you just want to find something to keep all your decks together within your quivers or your backpacks. If you're not lucky enough to have those gigantic wooden deck boxes that I've started carting around from our dear friend at Crossbow Games, who has been making me all these huge, hefty wooden boxes. Let's just say that quivers come with a shoulder strap, and I'm really, really grateful for that.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah, they're pretty sweet.
My quiver thing, I can take it on an airplane, swing it over the shoulder, pop it open to just show all my decks to TSA so they leave me alone. It's the best thing ever.
That's
if
great.
you're a Magic player that travels, you need one. Just flat out.
I've been using the
They're
same
amazing.
backpack since high school, so that sounds great.
Yeah. I would grab mine, but it's a little too far outside of my headphone range. I would have thought
I
about
would grab
that in
it,
advance,
but it's propping up my camera, so
Yeah. However,
it's a multi-purpose thing.
it is. I love it, dude. You can put board game stuff in there and roll up your playmats for D&D. It's great. One other thing, though, is Quiver also lets us run a contest once a month to give things away to people. And I have our June contest winners. Ooh. So we had a token of Quiver hashtag contest on Twitter for people to tell us what their favorite token types were. And then we picked randomly to decide who was going to get a set of their fine Artemis sleeves and a person who would get a free Quiver case of their own. I'm personally stoked about that. I would totally want a Quiver case if I didn't already have one. I actually kind of want another one because I've got more decks than this thing can carry. So the winner of our Artemis sleeves is Elspeth Lives, our dear friend Adam.
Oh, I'm so glad she's okay. I was worried about her.
Thank the gods, except for the ones that sent her down to Nixon.
Yeah, specifically that one.
So, Adam, feel free to send us a PM or a DM at Commanderin MTG, and we will get out your Artemis sleeves to you. And thank you for participating. However, the winner of our quiver, the free quiver that you can get this week, is Paul Kinter at pkinter13. Thank you so much for joining our contest. Congratulations. Send us a DM at Commanderin MTG, and we will happily get you the quiver of your choice sent to you. And if you already own one, we'll refund it. So it'll basically be free anyways. But it's awesome. It's super cool. I'm super excited. One thing I've learned about being a content creator is that it turns out giving things away is really, really fun.
It's so fun. It's such a good feeling. Yeah.
It feels good because then people are like, wow, I got a thing. And it makes you feel good because you're like, look, I gave a thing. Yay. I don't know. I like
it's great.
Happy. Making people happy makes me happy, which is half of why I do this.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, that's sort of, I mean, I don't know if any of us got in this, in this gig to be like, all right, I'm going to wake up and whose day am I going to ruin? Someone's going to go home not feeling good today after listening to my podcast.
Yeah.
I want people to feel worse when they're done with me.
Oh gosh. If only that wasn't true for some people that we know.
Well, yeah.
Twitter, it's a rough life. That's all I got to say.
Mm-hmm.
So, moving on. So we have a little bit of news before we get into it. Now, I don't know if y'all saw this, but Gavin Verhey revealed on Twitter that at GP Vegas, they're going to have a special Commander-only promo Mark Tedden brand new Soul Ring, and I just about lost my mind.
It looks very good. I imagine Olivia's got a few opinions.
Oh my gracious!
Just one or two. I will say I actually can be that person and have a complaint about it. Why is it not full art?
Because it's got to be half art. It's got to show you the thing.
No, it doesn't because they did the lightning bolt promos that are full art with no text. Everyone knows what Soul Ring does. It makes you the enemy.
I can't disagree with that. I'll be honest.
Who needs to know what Soul Ring does? Everybody knows. If it's turn 1, it puts a target on your back.
It's not the cryptic command, that's for sure.
But how will I know if it generates 2 generic mana or if it generates 2 diamond generic mana?
Kick him off this right now.
Please, we call those wingdings.
It's one of each. It's 1 generic mana and 1 wingding mana.
Okay, cool. I mean, I can go the halfway point there.
We all know what Soul Ring does. That's my sole
looks
complaint.
like for all y'all at home.
I want full art.
It's a brand new, awesome looking, just marked head in Soul Ring inside of a bunch of rings inside of a bunch of rings. Look, all I know is I need 30 of them. Okay, that's all I got to say.
It's showing your entire browser window. I love you so much.
Well, it's just I appreciate that the Soul Ring has gotten like bigger and bigger and bigger. Like it used to just be like a tiny I guess the first one.
A ring.
Well, I guess the first one was just like fire that you wrapped around and then
it was a ring of literal soul, right?
Yeah. And then it became the little slivery kind of thing, the thing that you get out of a gachapon. And now it's this whole, orrery.
I'm not here for the Sonic the Hedgehog Soul Ring. Sorry, we don't play that.
Wait, I'm sorry. No, the Sonic the Hedgehog one was fine because that is an actual gold ring, and the flavor text was that it was a ring spun of purest gold. So, Metalsmith here is telling you both to stop.
all right.
Great.
Here's the thing. Soul Ring is literally my favorite card in Magic. I know that people like to say that I say that about literally every card. It's true. I do say it about literally every card. However, Soul Ring is the number one. Every deck I have has either a beta or an unlimited Soul Ring in it because it's got to say tap on it. I'm that guy.
Sure, yeah.
Is this better?
Little louder?
Better? Hey, hi.
I wonder if you can, do you have her maxed out on Discord? That could help, too.
I thought I did. So we're going to switch to looking at the logo for just a second, folks. There we go.
Sorry, friends. It's all my fault. But while we do that, we're going to talk about Soul Ring some more.
Yeah, so feel free to talk about that Soul Ring.
I'm greedy because Mark Tedden did a great job as per usual, and I want full art. Because
you want more. You want more.
I want more, yeah. Nobody needs to know what Soul Ring does. Everybody knows what Soul Ring does.
Yeah, art. So I was not playing Magic when you used to be able, via Planeswalker points and stuff to get these cool full art cards. And anytime I see somebody drop a Harmonize or anything like that, with the full art or the Mana Leak especially, I love the Mana Leak. I'm like, man, I'm so jealous. I wish I was around for those. And then when they brought back this Bolt, I got my first one at Seattle last weekend. Or 2 weekends ago? No, it was last weekend. Man, time flies.
It feels like a month ago.
But it's really exciting, and so I feel you. I definitely feel you on that. But I promos just get me excited,
Yeah. Hard
and it says Commander on the bottom, which really just makes me super happy. But I will say that the textless cards went too far when they did a textless cryptic command, because there were literally times you could just play it and say any 4 abilities you want, and people would be like, of course this makes me discard my card. Why wouldn't it make me? It's cryptic command. It's the cryptic part.
Yeah. It definitely needed to be simplified. I've watched a couple of videos on that, and it's just you gotta go for simplicity, right? Even I'm trying to think of all of them. There's Wrath of God, which is also
but Wrath
quite
of God
simple.
Damnation, okay, you know what that does. Destroy all creatures. That's kind of simple.
Again, and that's my argument with Soul Ring.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
I think a full art Soul Ring might have been sick. That could fine. It would have been completely sick. Yeah. Fine. I'm just super excited. I love Soul Ring.
Yeah.
He's finally on board with Cyclonic Rift, so.
And that's
GG
actually
me.
Soul Ring and Cyclonic Rift are both actually good lead-in to the second bit of news. Is that as of this recording, the CAG and Rules Committee just had our official Core 20 meeting to talk about banned and restricted cards. And since we have not yet announced it as of this recording, I am not going to tell you what we came up with. But Cyclonic Rift was definitely one of the cards we talked about. And actually, to be fair, the CAG made the rules committee go through every single card on the bans list. Like, we've decided, like, when the rules committee, which is like, 4 guys who created Commander, they were like, okay, we brought you on because we want to bring new voices on. We want to talk about what Commander is like from the floor. We want to see what it's actually like when you play it.
Right.
Talk to us what you think. And we're like, okay, look, here's the deal. You guys ossified the banned list like 20 years ago. There are cards on there that nobody's ever even seen in person, let alone played with. There are cards that have just been outmoded by cards that exist now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, and why don't you guys justify to us why these cards are banned? And it was a fascinating card, because I know that that's one of the things the community has really wanted, has been like, please find out why these cards are banned and not those cards. What are we trying to do? And what we ended up doing is actually rewriting the entire philosophy of Commander. Try to explain what is the ban list for. And we're going to reveal all that stuff. Sheldon's going to write an article when we reveal the new banned cards, if there are any, if they're new unbanned cards. But we had a long conversation talking about every card and new cards. We talked about, Urza. We talked about, obviously, Rift and Deadeye Navigator and all these cards that have just been bugaboos in the format forever. And one of the things is that I want people to understand that we're not just making, like, whimsical, like, I'm banning this card because it wrecked me yesterday. No, these are all things that we're actually spending a lot of time, because ultimately we want Commander to be the best it can possibly be for everybody. We want people to sit there and have a good time, whether you're there to slam your most highly tuned vintage playable Commander decks, or just be like, yo, I got these 100 cards that were on a baggie in the sidewalk, and now I'm playing them,
Yeah. Well, I think that's really exciting, because I think one of the biggest things is even if nothing were to change regarding bans or anything like that, I think a revised clarity on it is certainly what a lot of people would really, really appreciate, knowing why X card is on the ban list versus X or whatever, and knowing a bit better tuned philosophy for, Magic in 2019, because things have changed a lot, power levels are coming back around, and it's exciting,
Yeah. Look, man, we've come a long way since the commanders you used were literally like Brian Stoutarm and, Arcada Sabbath 1.
yeah.
But basically what it was is we were like, look, there are 35 different ways to play Commander right now. There's people who want to play hyper competitive. There are people who want to just play casual scrub Commander, Oathbreaker, all these things. What is Commander? What do you think Commander is? And by forcing them to actually write it down, then we could say, okay, now that we've got this framework for what Commander is, how do these cards on the banned list, how do these other cards that are problem cards fit into what you want Commander to be? Now, this might make some people unhappy, because it's going to be like, yo, the Commander that you're making is not the Commander that I'm playing. Commander's still a casual format. Do what you want at home. Do what you want with your friends. Nobody's going to come to your house and say you can't play with Jace as your Commander. That's just do what you got to do.
But why?
But our goal is to make it so that when you go to a con or go to a GP or go to a store and you bring your 100 cards and you sit down with somebody else, that you guys are on speaking the same language, or at least in the same vernacular, right? Like, we want to be able to sit there and say, like, you're not going to get leveled by somebody playing Library of Alexandria or playing, Time Vault or something, whatever. Like, we want, but the rules committee had so many things that were just unspoken kind of societal ideas, and I'm like, literal generations of humans have been born since you wrote this. We don't know what those ideas are. You need to spell it out so that I can communicate to my friends what Commander is.
I feel the spirit of Josh Lee Kwai in reviewing every card on the ban list.
Okay, here's what Josh Lee Kwai's entire modus operandi is.
Oh, okay, I'm excited for this. Yeah.
Why is it banned?
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right. It's a battle royale of cards.
Josh has two main functions, and I say this because with the utmost respect for Josh, because I love him. He's the reason I'm doing this. He gave me all this advice, and he's one of the greatest guys I know. Josh has literally the most conservative view of Commanders I've ever seen, which is A, don't change anything. B, if you're going to change anything, it's to take things off the list. That's it. if you add anything, he's going
I
to be
sign
like,
up with that. That's how I am too. I'm a purist from what I knew in 2014, so I'm not actually a purist, but I'm like, well, this is how I learned. This is how it has to be forever. So
yeah, I mean, I've never. There's maybe been once or twice, where I've hit a point where I'm like, oh, well, can I play this card? And like have to bring up the ban list and I go, oh dang. But it's like there haven't been too many times. I mean, for me personally, that I haven't been able to play a card and like found that it's on the ban list and whatnot. Like every once in a while I'll be like, all right, I'm building Felden and I go, all right, and I'll put in this Sundering Titan and nope, that doesn't go in there and you but it's like it's awesome. I'm really stoked to hear that like clarity is coming down the line.
well, yeah,
I like that too. I think also, I think the one thing that if I could change anything now that I've thought about it more would be hybrid mana. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Drives me nuts. This is the one thing in all of Magic that's like completely not.
I can tell you'd be saving Serge Jaeger's life.
Sure.
That man loves to put kitchen finks in a mono green or mono green white or green white deck.
I mean, like there were things I wanted to play. Oh, I wanted to put I can't remember what it was. Something into Saskia, and I was sitting there and I was like, oh, but it's red blue, even though I never have to have blue or cast for blue or anything. I for some reason cannot use this card even though it's red.
Yeah.
I tried to look. I brought it up. Okay, I brought it up.
My lips are sealed.
There are some discussions that were literally just not starters. Right? Like I was like, hey guys,
I'm sure that was one
banning
of them.
prime time, and they're like,
Yeah.
how about you're not in the CAG anymore? And I'm like,
Well, all right.
like,
I appreciate that specific try. That's a good one. I'll get behind that as a green player. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
no, but
And
the
then,
ultimate goal though, the ultimate goal is Commander should be about friends hanging out and having a good time, and the cards that are on the ban list are cards that specifically prevent you from having a good time, right? Like if you can't play Commander, then we're not going to be able to play Commander, and you're not going to. I don't want you to leave the tail. If you're sad because you lost, it should be because we played a game and you lost, not because I prevented you from drawing cards and blew up all your lands, and then you were just sitting there for 2.5 hours just crying. That's not what the game should be about, and that's kind of what the philosophy overall is.
Yeah, I mean, it's a philosophy that like it extends to most like board games and games in general, right? Like, as people want to play, people want to be able to play the game, and if there are things that restrict that, then then the game isn't fulfilling its duty, I think.
Like one of the things is people always bring up stuff like, "Oh man, Leopold is great for CDH," and I'm like, okay, look. If you're playing a competitive game, if you're playing Vintage or Legacy or something, and you sit down with your friends, you know that the goal here is I want to beat you. Like, that's why we sat down. I sat down so I can beat you at any means necessary. We understand that that's the social contract of playing Vintage. When we're playing Commander, the social contract is, hey, for the next 2.5, 3 hours, me and these 4 people are going to hang out, and we're going to chill and be friends. If I slam down Leopold and you're not able to play anymore, then am I being a good host or a good friend? Not really. I mean, I just ruined your night.
I'm gonna kick you out, and I'm not giving you pot roast. I'm all about dinner games. I want a game to last 4 hours, where it's like 2 hours, and it's like, okay, guys, food's ready.
Yeah.
Pause the turn. Let's do this, and then we'll get back to it.
Ultimately, you got to realize. I think people don't understand that Commander was intended to be Magic the way we played it on the sidewalk in middle school. That's what Commander is. That is the ethos of Commander. Like Gavin, who is on the rules committee, said this sentence to me yesterday, which is, I realized that we should just brand that as a Commander logo, which is, we know Commander is broken. We hope that you don't break it. Right? Like, that is the entire tagline of Commander. It's broken. You can do infinite broken things. We're just hoping that you understand that we're playing this not to break it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and people will find the different things that make them happy, right? Watching somebody pop off and stuff like that could also bring people enjoyment,
Oh, I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, right? So it's like, I think that's sort of the beauty of it. It's a make your own sort of thing. And which this has been great, because I feel like that's super talks about our topic today. Yeah.
Into the topic that we were hoping to bring up, which Ben had suggested, which is form versus function. So, Ben, can you talk to us a little bit about what you were thinking here with this kind of idea?
Yeah, so this is, I mean, we sort of kind of covered it a little bit just in that talk right there, but the idea of why are you building this commander deck? What is its purpose? Is it to pop off and win every game and be super, super powerful? Is it to fulfill some sort of, fantasy lore-wise that you've sort of crafted in your head? Is it to... or is it maybe a little bit of both kind of a thing? And so you look at each card that you're putting in it and go, am I putting this card in because it's very powerful and it'll do what this deck wants to do? Am I putting this card in because it's super flavorful and it just kind of gets along really well with the themes that I'm doing here? Or maybe a bit of both. And I think those are kind of the three categories that I typically place cards in when I'm putting them into a commander deck.
That's amazing how much thought you put into it, because mine's like, ooh, colors. Okay.
That's kind of it, right?
There's two of the same words in the rules text that aren't the. Okay.
Yeah. You're like, oh, great, right? So it's like, for I guess example kind of a thing, right? I've been tooling with the idea of a deck around Zahid, which is it's that Jin card from Dominaria. It's 4 blue for a 5/6 with flying. But if you don't want to pay that retail, you can tap a artifact and for 3 and a blue, cast it.
Lamp.
Yeah, rub the lamp. And so this is an example of a card that you could take in any way, because right off the bat, there's a keyword in this card that has the potential to make it blow up, which is artifact. Artifact cards are, in my opinion, ridiculously strong in Commander, of course, right? But like, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to jam it full of the most busted artifacts, or would you want to jam it with a card like, for example, Aladdin's Lamp, which is right? And I know, Shivam knows exactly what I'm talking about, right? Where it's like Aladdin's Lamp. For those who don't know, it's an artifact that costs 10 mana to cast. It's 10 colorless mana, and all it does is when you're going to draw a card for X, you can put X mana into it and tap it, and then look at the X cards and choose the card that you want to draw. Which is I
love that card.
It's not a good effect, right? But you have to put it in this deck, right? Like you have to. But that's sort of right, yeah. But
lamping, you have like the ring and Jander's saddlebags. You need to have like the whole Arabian Nights kind of expansion in your deck.
Yeah, exactly. So that's sort of what I'm getting at is where do you make that decision, and what is your deck building process? And I think it's different for everybody. That
is such that is literally exactly how I play Commander. So when I'm building my decks, for instance, the deck that I'm most associated with is my beloved Tajik Soldiers deck, because the commander of that deck is Keldoran Outpost, if you're snobby. Keldoran Outpost, of course, is the land from alliances that you sack a plains to play, and you pay 1 and a white to make a soldier token, because it makes soldier tokens. When I was a kid, I loved that card. It went in my blue-white Flyers control deck. It made soldiers. It was great. And I was like, Commander lets me play any jank card I want, so I can play, one of the great cards from my childhood, one of my favorite cards. And right then was when Return to Ravnica had come out, so like all those soldiers. And I was like, Assemble the Legion makes soldiers. I should put that in my deck. So I made this whole red-white soldiers deck. Now, if I was smart and wanted to win, I would make like a green-white tokens deck. But no, I'm making a soldiers deck. All the cards in there are soldiers or generals of soldiers or like one medic, because every army needs a medic.
Needs a medic, yeah, right? Absolutely, yeah.
And I'm like, there are a million better cards than the cards I have in there, because this deck will die to a stiff breeze. But every card in there, every plains is a Ravnica foil plains from the Dragon's Maze pre-release.
Nice.
The commander is Tajik because he's the general who is also a soldier. And it's because of the fact that like I'm so focused on this is the theme I'm playing, this is the deck I'm playing, that even though they're like, every time Gavin Verhey puts out a card that is like, yo, this is a great new token-making white warrior, I'm like, I can't work with that.
Yeah, well, that was... I guess there's that new M20 card that's like...
Or like a knight.
The green.
I'm like, come on, it could have been a soldier. Could have been a soldier.
Yeah. But that's sort of the beauty, I guess, of Commander, right? And that's why it's Super is my favorite format, because you can take it in the direction of being mega powerful and doing mega powerful things, or being super flavorful and doing super flavorful things. And there's obviously a great place for them to intersect, right? Because fortunately, I mean, Wizards is good at what they. They're good at what they do. They're good. The Wizards is good at what they do, and I think they recognize that when you're making these flavorful things, also making them synergistic with one another is important, and so you can find that happy medium with them. So it's exciting, I think.
And to that point, like I have my Liliana Vorthos deck that doesn't like run all of her demons, and it doesn't, have every single card that would make sense in the story, because I do still want some synergy. I do want the deck to actually be capable of doing something at some point. Otherwise, it's all freaking 8 drops and shenanigans.
Yeah.
It's really cool that I just exiled everything, except I have no board. So good job me. I'm just gonna sit here and look pretty and not actually win.
Yeah.
So there is a balance that can easily be struck, obviously, between the Vorthos of telling a story or having, synergistic cards. They don't have to be mutually exclusive.
Yeah. Well, that's my baby deck is Atraxa. It's the deck that I've poured the most time and dollary dues into a little bit.
That makes sense.
Because it tries to fulfill my love, I guess, of Phyrexia. Phyrexia is my favorite plane.
You are lucky that Phil is not here, because Phil hates Phyrexia with every fiber in his body.
Yeah,
and every oil-covered fiber in his body.
I did just get my shiny oil nails done again.
Ooh, there we go, looking good
with tainted corruptors. Oh God.
Well, and that's the thing is, so the concept of this deck is it is purely cards that are Phyrexian or take place on the plane and that kind of a thing. So it runs at least all the Praetors that contributed to.
Well, of course.
To Atraxa.
Didn't want anything to do with it, so.
Yeah, Urabraska's off hanging out with the Mirrans and being a general goody two shoe, I suppose.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
so it runs like
and Vorinclex are literally the worst cards